Happy Christmas and Happy New Year. Today we're going to be looking at what I'd like to see happen in 2022. 2021 has been a tough year, personally with my other job and things like that. It's been really hard. But in terms of game design, nothing much has happened for me. I've kind of rested on my laurels a little bit. Okay, I had a couple of games come out in 2020. Compromat and Zooligans were the most recent games. In 2021, nothing's come out, and instead I've kind of focused on my YouTube channel. I've been producing a lot of videos about board game design. It's really grown over the year. I have been designing games, but I haven't been showing them to anybody. I haven't been to any conventions or anything like that, so everything's kind of been on standstill. But I have been looking forward to 2022. And so that's what this list is all about. It's a wish list. It's not a predictions list, it's a wish list. What would I like to see happen in 2022? So number one on my list is I'd like to see continued success for UK designers, and not just British designers. I'm talking people who've been based in the UK, and not because I've got anything against anybody outside the UK, it's just these are the guys that I know, okay? I've met all these people many times. I've met up with them at Essen, Spiel and UK Games Expo and various playtesting events, and I really enjoy seeing their success. Let's face it, I'm not going to be winning any Spiel des Jahres awards in 2022, so it would be wonderful if one of those guys did it. So Matt Dunstan, his recent success with Voyages, that print and play game on Kickstarter. What a great model that was, okay? Cut out all the environmental concerns, the distribution, the shipping, the high cost, and just deliver it direct to the people who backed it through a print and play PDF at an affordable price. It went absolutely gangbusters. I mean, they made so much money from it, Matt and his collaborator, so that was wonderful to see. I'd really like to see great success for Bez. Bez had a Kickstarter this year with We Whimsical Creatures, which is a game where you lay out some pictures that Bez has drawn of different types of monsters, and then you make sounds, and the other players have to guess which of these monsters your sound related to. It's as simple as that. But I think this has the scope to be as successful as Yogi, which is Bez's other game. If it finds the right publisher, I think they could really run with it, and it could be a huge success for her, which would be fantastic. I'd really like to see that sort of level of success again. Okay, lightning striking twice. That would be fantastic. I'd like to see success for other UK designers like Brett Gilbert and David Mortimer, Tony Boydell, and not just success for Tony Boydell with his games, but his board game museum as well. Tony's built this quaint little board game museum, scouring auction sites and eBay, to get all these old board games and bring them into this museum. He's become a bit of an expert of the sort of history of board games. I'd really like to visit that museum, but I really hope it keeps running and is sustainable and so on, because it's such a valuable thing that Tony's done there. I'd like to see continued success for Frank West, who created Isle of Cats. What a fantastic game that was. That's brought me and my wife so much joy, that game. I'd really like to see what Frank does next with his company, The City of Games. And of course, it would be lovely if I could have a little bit of success as well, and my co-designer, Rob Fisher. Rob and I work together on lots of games. We play test together a lot. We develop games together. Sometimes we're co-designers, sometimes we're not. But it would be great if to see some success for Rob as well. And that brings me on to my next point, which is a game by Rob, which is the Genius Gems. So number 2 on my list is I'd really like to see the Genius Gems do really well. This is a game with Happy Puzzle Company, who produced my game Zooligans and my co-design with Rob, Quazzle. So the Genius Gems is not a game that I designed, although I was involved at every stage along the way, really, as a sort of encourager, motivator, consultant, I suppose, facilitator. I don't know what, we never really worked out what to call me, so I'm not credited anywhere sort of formally, but I was very involved in the production of the Genius Gems, and I'd really like to see it have success. This is not a game that you're going to see splashed about all over Board Game Geek, I suspect. Because it's more of a mass market, sort of mainstream type game. It's a puzzle game where you race against another player to complete a puzzle, but it's really good, and so it's well worth looking up if you fancy that sort of a game. So I'd like to see success for Rob with the Genius Gems. For myself, here's a couple of items on my list. So number 3 on my list is I'd like to see one of my games released. Okay, I've got a couple of games that are waiting to be released, but they've been waiting to be released for a number of years now. And the pandemic has delayed things, and it gets to the point where you think, well, is this going to happen this year, or is it even going to happen at all? So I really don't know, but it would be lovely to see one of my games come out in 2022. I'm not asking for huge success, just asking for it to, you know, arrive, for some people to have it in their hand, people to play it, would be great. To have my own copy would be wonderful. So let's hope that happens in 2022. The other wish for myself, so number 4 on my list, is I'd like to reach 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm currently at about 3,600, I think. I'm gaining about 100 a month. So seems doable, doesn't it? Get to 5,000? 6,000? That would be even better, wouldn't it? I think I'd need find some real nice new slant on a video to get myself up to 6,000. Either that or you lot are going to have to start sharing my videos a little bit more. Yeah, come on, do the work for me. Okay, I'd like to get my videos out there. I'd like to see my subscribers build. Okay, so number 5 on my list, I'd like to see the shipping issues resolved. I'd like to feel a bit more confident in the board game industry that games are going to get delivered on time, that when games are signed, they're actually going to get published. All that stuff would give me a bit more confidence, and I just feel better about it. I don't like the idea of board game publishers going under, losing their businesses, and it's making me feel very wary about signing my games to people when everything's quite so unstable. You know, there's nothing stopping me just hanging on to them for a little bit, and that's what I've been doing. And that brings me on to my next wish on my list, which is I want to get back to Essen Spiel in 2022. I didn't go in 2021. I love Essen Spiel. It's my favourite week of the year, and I've missed it the last 2 years. Well, obviously 1 year it didn't happen, and then I missed it this year. I couldn't justify going to Germany in the middle of a pandemic when, you know, my day job, I'm a dentist, it's a really tough job right now. And my wife is German and she hasn't been back to Germany to see her family for 2 years. So how can I go to Germany on a game design trip? I couldn't really. So hopefully in 2022 I'll be able to go. And I haven't been showing my games to anybody. I've been designing games, but yeah, I'm keeping them to myself because I'm thinking, well, I'd rather wait, show them in person, demo them in person. I really enjoy pitching. I really love it. I don't want to pitch over Zoom, I don't want to pitch over Tabletop Simulator, and I want to give my games the best possible chance of succeeding, and I think that's best done when you build relationships. So I'm holding on for Essen 2022, and I really hope that I get there. Back to my really selfish wishes, which is expansions, standalone games, re-implementations, all that stuff. What games do I want to see? So in terms of expansions, I've thought about which games I'd like to see expansions for, and actually both the games I picked have already got an expansion, 1 expansion each. So the first one is Bunny Kingdom. So Bunny Kingdom, we've got the Into the Sky expansion, which is good. It is good, it adds a lot to the game. Most notably, it adds loads of great artwork and brilliant cards and components, and I just love having more Bunny Kingdom. I'd like to see Bunny Kingdom under the sea, or Bunny Kingdom at sea, or Bunny Kingdom under the ground, or, you know, I don't really care what it is. I want more Bunny Kingdom. I love Bunny Kingdom. So please can we have that, Yellow and Richard Garfield. And next on the expansions list is, I'd like some more Baron Park. Baron Park Bad News Bears was a great expansion. One of the best expansions I've played. It changed the game from being something I was a bit ho-hum over, wasn't that bothered. Played that expansion, I love the game now. And I think there's scope for more. It's a simple system, more tiles, more rules, fantastic. Baron Park can handle it. And Phil Walker Harding is a great designer, so whatever he puts out, I'll be interested in. So those are the expansions I'd like to see. But in terms of a standalone game, Everdell. That's what I want. A game, not Everdell, but a game in the Everdell world, okay? I've got the complete collection of Everdell coming to me when that Kickstarter delivers, all the expansions, and I know that none of them will ever get played, or barely, they'll barely get played. I'll find it overwhelming, I know I will. It'll be great. I love having all the stuff, all the cards, all the beautiful artwork, reading the rules, the components, all of that, the box, all of it will be fantastic, and I will play, I will dabble with it. But what I know would get played is a standalone game set in the Everdell world. Yeah, that I could get on board with. I don't really care what type of game it is. A streamlined game, a dice game, a card game. I don't really mind. A totally different type of game. But something with the Everdell setting and artwork on it would be fantastic. And they hinted at it. I feel like they hinted at it, at least in the Kickstarter. They said that there will be no more expansions for Everdell, but they didn't rule out other games in the Everdell world. So watch this space, I reckon. In terms of re-releases, this is number 9 on my list. A couple of games that well, 3 games that I'd like to see brought back, okay? Games that have kind of disappeared. The first one is Libertalia. I don't know what's going on with Libertalia. There was all that fuss last year about did Stonemaier have the rights or don't they have the rights? And Stonemaier said, well, we have trademark for the name, I think it was, but that's not the game Libertalia, we just have the word Libertalia. So who knows what's happening with it, but that game deserves to come back. It's a fantastic simultaneous action selection game about pirates. It was really popular in 2012. I remember everybody was playing it around where I was sort of playing games. And it's really good, it's really variable, it's exciting, it's interactive. There's no reason that game couldn't come back with another publisher. The next game I think is less likely, and that's Witness. So Witness is a 4-player only puzzle game where you whisper clues to each other. And the clues go around the circle, you have to remember what's been whispered to you and adapt it to the information that you've already heard. And so you get this sort of telephone thing where the message changes as it goes around the circle. It's the worst possible game to come out in a pandemic because it's 4-player only, so you can't have 1 or 2 or 3 players or 5 players. And you have to get really close to each other and whisper. So I can't honestly say I think it's likely that it's going to be coming back in 2022, but I would like to see more, okay? At some point, doesn't matter if it's not 2022, at some point, let's see some more Witness. It's one of my favourite games. It's so good, so enjoyable. Maybe with a different theme, a different setting, different puzzles. I'm not just talking about a re-release. I think that's unlikely to happen because of the Blake and Mortimer license. But it could happen, I don't know. But really, I'd like to see more of it with a different setting. And the other game that I've been going on about for years, I think needs to come back, is Rudiger Dorn's Arcadia, which was released by Ravensburger years and years ago. This is great. This is one of the first polyomino sort of strategy Euro games. And it's got fantastic pieces. It could be modernized, you know, they could change the rules a little bit for a 2022 sort of feel, you know, what people want in 2022. It's got such good table presence. I really want Super Meeple to make it, right? They made such good re-implementations of Java and Mexica and Tikal. I think Arcadia should be their next one. So I've got my fingers crossed that one day Arcadia will come back. I don't have high hopes, but you know, maybe. And then number 10 on my wish list is, I've been thinking about those Ravensburger games, right? The ones based around popular films. So we've had Jaws and Jurassic Park, and this year we had Alien. And they're always really simple, family-friendly games. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want something massive like Nemesis or something like that. I want a simple game based around a movie that doesn't even have to be that good, right? It just has to play quick and easy rules so I can just enjoy the nostalgia with my family or friends and just put it away. It doesn't have to be the greatest game ever. But I was thinking, what films would I like to fit into that range? And I came up with a few. First one, the obvious one, I can't believe there's not more board games about, is Indiana Jones. Why aren't there more board games about Indiana Jones? That's an obvious theme to be doing. So that would fit really well with Ravensburger. Another one's Terminator. Okay, if they can do Alien, why can't they do Terminator? That would be really good. A simple Terminator game, not talking like a massive miniatures game, simple Terminator game. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. That would be great, wouldn't it? That would be great. Lots of backstabbing and hidden agendas and stuff like this. Fantastic. Not sure they'll go down that route, but you never know. There must be some nostalgia out there for The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. The Matrix, that had a bit of a resurgence this year, didn't it? I'm told. I didn't go and see the new film. But The Matrix, we could do with a really good board game about The Matrix. Ideally from Ravensburger, because The Matrix is complicated enough without adding a whole load of complicated board game rules onto it. What else was on my list here? Oh yeah, Gladiator. That would be good. Simple Gladiator game from Ravensburger. I'd enjoy that. And then Planet of the Apes. The original, ideally. I wouldn't mind if it was one of the new trilogy. I really like the new trilogy. But it's not a cult classic, is it? I'm not sure it would fit the range. Whereas the original Planet of the Apes, a really good board game about that, I'd really like. And I should stress a really good board game. I know there is a Planet of the Apes board game. And I don't know, maybe it is good. Maybe it is. I haven't played it. I wasn't drawn to it. But a Ravensburger title, yeah, I'd be on that. So anyway, there's my wish list for 2022. I'd like to hear what you would like to see in 2022. Write it in the comments below, and I hope it happens for you. Please come back and watch some of my other videos over the coming year. I'm sure there'll be lots more top 10 mechanisms and board game reviews and board game industry talk, board game design tips. And I'll see you next time. All the best.